Thank you for joining us for this episode of Take Notice, Amplifying Black Stories. I am your host, Allison Preisinger-Higgins. Take Notice, Amplifying Black Stories is a podcast exploring society, culture, and current events through conversation. We aspire to create an open, respectful, and equitable space where guests may feel free to share their truth and lived experiences. Our core values are rooted in community, connection, and personal development. Stories help us learn, relate, and grow. We are here to listen, to take notice. Thank you for being with us. I would like to show gratitude to the traditional ancestral land of the Puyallup people past and present on which this episode was created. I encourage listeners to research the land on which you live and are listening right now. Recognizing this is just the beginning. The more you explore, challenge, and learn, the more questions may arise, but this is how we grow and connect. On this episode of Take Notice, we welcome back JR Rhodes. You can listen to our previous conversation on episodes 22 and 23. This conversation with JR does delve into mental health and suicide topics. If you or someone you know is struggling with mental health, we encourage you to reach out for help. Help is available in many ways, but you can also call or text or chat at 988lifeline.org. And just a quick note that this conversation was held December 2023. So when we discuss last year, we are meaning 2022. So just to be clear that when JR is discussing her experience around her mental health crisis, it was in 2022. We do also discuss her recent performance and recording project entitled Ma'am, which is dedicated to her mother. I am very grateful to JR for sharing her experiences with Take Notice and being a part of this podcast, which has in turn developed into a really lovely, wonderful friendship between the two of us. I'm very grateful for JR. Singer-songwriter J.R. Rhodes believes in the transformational power of music. From her first open mic performances at the OK Hotel in Seattle to her latest album and her current works entitled Ma'am, these beliefs in the transformative power of music are distilled into songs of quiet intensity that transverse spirituals, folk, blues, jazz, and rock. In this conversation, you'll be able to hear more about her current works and her approach to creativity. So please enjoy this conversation with J.R. Rhodes. Let's see. So, JR, it's fun to be back at your place again to record. I guess it was like 2 years. Was it 2 years ago?
Wow.
Or last year? Oh, now I don't know.
I don't know.
I think it was 2 years ago that we did our last interview, I want to say. And then, most recently I saw you at the chapel in Seattle. You played your show that you've been working really hard on, Ma'am. How about we start with just hearing about Ma'am and how that all came about and the show and everything. The show was beautiful. Oh, thanks. And it was wonderful. And I'm looking forward to the record. So you have I'm all over the place at the moment, but you have the live recording. Is it done? Did I see that it was done?
Right. The live recording is complete. Yeah.
So if somebody wanted to, they could hop online and listen to the show, or was it only available for a while?
Yeah, I made it available for streaming, and then just kind of sitting with it for now.
Okay.
And then we go back in the studio starting in about a couple weeks. About a week. So for the studio version of it. So it's kind of, I'm basically following it. I'm just going with it. I'm following the music. The live performance was really more than I ever expected. It's probably one of my, I would say it's the best performance experience I've had so far in my life, which is a good feeling, It's like that feeling where everybody's focused on the music is just the most beautiful feeling, because I imagine we've all had that experience where it's like you're on stage with people who are showboating and really just centering themselves, and that's gotta be, I don't really like that feeling. It's it's a little bit of a lonely feeling. It's like,
right.
It's like being in a relationship and you're not connecting. And it's like, well, I might as well be alone then. You know, I might as well play solo. I really don't like this feeling.
Right.
But that feeling was amazing. Like, just little things like that happened. I mean, remember, like, it was really an out-of-body experience, the whole thing. Like, to the point where, like, the next day, a really dear friend was like, oh, I really enjoyed the show. And how about that? You got a standing ovation. I was just like, oh my God, I guess that is what that was. Do you know what I mean? Like, because I was enjoying the connection. Mm-hmm. Like, I remembered the feeling of performing. I remembered the feeling of connecting with everybody afterwards. Mm-hmm. So I didn't really put a label on it. Like, I've got a standing ovation. Sure. I didn't frame it that way in my mind. So that was really interesting. It's like, oh my God, I guess I got a standing ovation. Mm-hmm. So I remember that feeling of like feeling connected with people. And I remember like the song Mother's Milk, which I wrote for my mom. I remember when Elna and I were singing together, I remember the last note just lingering. Like we both connected on this one last note. And it just, I remember just having this feeling of floating with that note with her. And it just felt so good. So it's like connecting with the people that were performing that night and the space itself, the chapel. Mm-hmm. Yeah, Steve Peters has just done, I don't know what that man has, up his sleeves, or if it's a combination of him and his dedication to that space and the space itself. But that space is magical to me. I love playing spaces that just have a spirit. Mm-hmm. And so I think that was part of it too. It just felt really beautiful playing there. Mm-hmm. So, after COVID, I've just really, really thinking about who I want to play with and where I want to play. And, the bar scene doesn't feel like home to me anymore. Mm. Although I will say I do like dive bars. I have a sweet spot for dive bars, but like, I guess it's what I'm getting at is like, I like playing places with spirit. Like when the people there, no matter where it is, their focus is on the music. So it could be a dive bar if people were there to listen to it. I remember I played Tim's Tavern before they closed and moved to the new spot.
Yeah.
There he's like, these drunk girls, they were wasted. And I was just like, and I was singing Landslide, Stevie Nicks' Landslide. And they lost their minds over that song. And they were wasted. And they started singing along with me. And I was just like, I love that moment too. So it's just like, no judgment there. I've been there. I was like, and they were there. They were in the moment for that song.
Totally.
So it's really about the spirit of a place. Mm-hmm. But the chapel is really, as a spirit, I really appreciate. So yeah, it was a beautiful night and I'm really grateful. And I feel like the music is landing finally. Cause I remember when we talked, I was like, yeah, I have these 2 albums in my head, and it's going to be about a year. And I was just like, really? I talked to myself, I was like, really, Jennifer? A year? I'm like, yeah, I'm going to have like I'm going to have horn sections, string sections. And that could happen. I have a lot of music in my head, in my heart. But, it's taken as long as it's taken and that's fine. Mm-hmm. But that night it was really wonderful to like have it land. And then to witness people responding to it. Mm-hmm. Like I got a bunch of love letters after that show. And I was just like people just really opening their hearts to me around the music. And I've been really moved by that. It's like, oh, well that's why I create. You know what I mean? Like it's nice to be acknowledged. I mean, it's really about, and I will say there was a time in my life where it's just like, please like me, but that was never the primary reason for creating. Yeah. There's always been a driving reason around creating for me. And it has to do with healing. And it's like, and it's cool to be in this space in my life where I feel like music has done its medicine on me. Like I feel like I'm in a good place right now in my life where I've gotten right with myself. Like, I've really worked hard to take care of myself. So now I feel like MAM is like a pivotal piece for me in the sense that, like, I feel like I'm steady enough in myself where I can give back. And that feels so good. And it's like, I could cry right now. Like, and I am crying actually. It just feels wonderful to get the response that I'm getting, because that's the intention I'm putting out there.
Yeah.
You know, like, the key thing, you know, it's like, I want people, my music is quiet in nature. I'm a quiet soul in nature. And it's taken me a while to actually listen to myself and to honor my pace and my process and frankly who I am in a world that typically likes to go loud and fast and hard. And that's, you know, if you think of me as I'm just a quiet soul, and I really want, part of my intention of creating music is I want people to just take a deep breath. I want people to create a pause for themselves. I want people to actually make room in their lives for what matters most, you know. And I've always been this way. It's just taken me, you know, my life to get to the place where I honor it. You know, even before cell phones, I can't believe I'm saying that, you know, but like, I never really liked being on the phone. I still don't use the phone a whole lot. Texting, forget about it, you know. Social media, I've really had to have a lot of coaching with that because I've resisted it. It's like, I would rather be outside, looking up at the sky, watching the birds, taking a walk with a friend, do you know what I mean, than looking down on my phone and counting how many likes I have on some device. And so I've always been like that. I remember my little sister would be on the phone all the time. And I'd be like, Susan, get off the phone. Susan, I just need to make a quick call. She'd have her feet kicked up on the kitchen table and she'd be like on the phone all damn day. And like, I'm like, I just, you know, and she'd get off real quick and my phone calls would be like, hey, so I'll meet you at the park. Okay, I'll see you in 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And then give the phone back to Susan and she'd just get back on the phone.
Right.
So I've always been this way. And even like calling my older sister at work, and it's like, you know, I probably would just at home on my porch writing a song in the sunshine, you know, and which is work, you know, by the way, for those who need reminding. And I called Dawn. I remember calling Dawn when she was working at Microsoft. She's a really good salesperson. And I love her approach to sales because she's like, she would never sell anything to anybody if they didn't want it, even if she believed it would help them, right? That was Dawn. And she saw sales as teaching. But anyway, she's really good-hearted person. Both my sisters were. But I remember her college one day and she was in it, you know? She was in it. She was in sales mode. And I was like, hey, so what's going on? And she's like, she's like, could not deal with my, you know, my easygoing pace because she was in it. And she's like, I don't know, maybe we talked about this last time. And she, like, it seemed like the faster she talked to get me off the phone, the slower I talked, or at least I was noticing the difference in our rate of speech. And anyway, she got the point. She's like, Jennifer, this is a yes or no question. I was like, wow, that's cold-blooded. But it's really funny. You know what I mean? I was like, damn. I was like, I'm going to remember that, you know. She had to go. And so anyway, I just think that that's how the world typically is. You know what I mean? It's like, I mean, and I've always been chill. I've always been chill. Yeah.
And just kind of getting to the point now where you're feeling like you don't have to be anything but that. And within your music too.
Yeah. It's pretty cool. And it speaks to why, you know, things typically work out for me, you know, because behind it all is love. Like I just follow my heart and people and things come to me. You know, I don't rush myself based on a false idea of time. And it's interesting to notice when people snap out of, what do you call it? Like the Matrix, you know, they snap out of it, you know, and it's like, I think maybe the difference might be described as like, I choose to live in the flow of love. And I think that and my pace is like a tortoise pace, right? And that's not everybody's pace, but that's mine. And it's like, it's interesting when people don't honor their own pace and then they wait for tragedy to see and to recognize and to fall into their own real flow when somebody has died, when some other tragedies happen. You know, it's like my whole life I've watched that. Do you know what I mean? Like, I remember at college, like, especially, I really started to notice it. It's like people would kind of make fun of me for being like the way I am. Whatever. You know what I mean? I was like, okay, man, whatever. And so, but like, when their shit fell apart, who would they come to? They would come to me. They would come crying to me. And a lot of times I would help them out. Do you know what I mean? But it's kind of like telling. You know, it's, and I'm not saying like slow is the way to go for everybody. I'm saying like, I would like to see people find their pace and honor their pace and to make room for what matters most.
And be accepting of others' paces as well.
Yeah. I mean, I have friends, it's like the only time I talk to them is like when they're running errands, and it's just like, wow, it's like versus friends who we make time for each other. We make a phone date. We make a date to walk.
Yeah.
You know, it's like relationships to me are priority. Whereas to other people, it's kind of like, it's not a priority until things fall apart. And I think it's a little bit of a shame, but it's not for me to explain it to people or to, everybody's got to find their own way, I guess, is what I'm getting at. And I guess it's kind of hard to watch. You know, that's the thing.
Sure.
For me, it's hard to watch, but I'm not going to be that person who's like, oh, I told you so. It's just like, because no, it's just like, I haven't always been this way. It's taken heartbreak for me to get to the point where it's like, oh, yeah, this is a priority.
And musically, too. I mean, I think or just artistically, creatively, or even just in general, if people are able to get to the point where they're honoring whatever it is that is true to themselves and that they love and are good at and like aligns, whether it's serving people in some way, like at a restaurant or as a doctor or in some way, or artistically, even people, you know, from people who are on stage with the most energy possible and like the opposite of you and I probably. And like people need that, and people need the moments of quiet and the moments of reflection and introspection, which I think your music brings and allows for. Like it's like, it could be that a lot of people at the show or at other shows or listening to your music otherwise, it's because it's so go, go, go. It's like they need that reminder that they're allowed to chill out for at least while they're listening to the music or at this show, or, you know, like just taking that moment to pause and get grounded again, which is, that show, I think, I mean, I can't speak for everybody there, but it seemed like one of those moments for sure, where for a lot of people, where it was just like, we're just right here, right now. And and this is, you know, just listening and appreciating the messages and the music. And yeah, you could tell that you all were just super connected on stage. You know, everybody was really focused in on the songs and adding to what you were doing, and before and after too, like just hanging out backstage a little bit. It was just this nice spread for everybody, you know, and just like, it was very nice community based, like just here to do the thing that we all love to do. So it was a very nice evening. Yeah. Yeah.
I'm so glad you were there.
Yeah. Yeah. It was so nice. Me too. I was glad I was there too.
And it's cool that you knew people. It's so funny. It's just like, why am I introducing her to Benjamin? I was just like, oh yeah, you and Benjamin under know each other.
I mean,
I was just like, it was a total brain freeze with them. I was like, right in the middle of it. It's like, huh, yeah. Not.
It's all good. You don't know.
I love that people knew each other.
Yeah, awesome. It's nice to see the connections come together from like a different connection, if that makes sense. But yeah, are you using? Will a lot of those same performers be on the record as well?
Just kind of taking it step by step.
Okay.
So
We're just kind of seeing what happens still. Nice. And so you've been working on those songs since, when did you start?
Forever, it seems like. A couple that have been around for years, like even before COVID. Like,
Okay.
Or at least in some form.
Mm-hmm.
The Nikki Giovanni song came first. She's doing a book tour for her book called A Good Cry.
Mm.
And so she was doing a reading at Benaroya Hall. And so I was asked through the Bushwick Book Club, who partner with Seattle Arts and Lectures, who's putting on the event, to open for her, which is kind of funny because, like, so I did The Fly on the Wall. I love that song. She's got all these, like, really deep poems in there. It's called A Good Cry. It's just really personal book. And I choose this, like, totally, it's just a really cute poem. And, I wanna be the flag on the wall about to fall down into your arms. I wanna be. It's just like the cutest little poem. And, so I had fun with that song. And it was funny too, like so that was like, I don't know, 4 years ago. And it's funny because I didn't know, because usually with Bushwick, it's like about 10 people read one book or essay, whatever it is, and then they write a song inspired by that. And so I was expecting at least 9 other people to show up.
Oh,
I didn't know that I was like
Benaroya one?
the person. You know what I mean? I was just waiting, and they're like, you know, when you're ready, come up for sound check. I'm in the green room waiting for other people to show up. And then it dawned on me. So it's like, oh my God. You know what I mean? I was like, wow. And so that was really interesting.
Wow.
I'm kind of glad I didn't know beforehand.
Yeah, a little less pressure at a time.
Yeah, and so the second, about a year later, or I don't know, after that, was it a year later? I was invited back to do the same thing and open for Alice Walker. So those songs have been around for a bit. The Alice Walker song is called Ancestors Never Sleep. Yeah, that's a beautiful book. And it's in Spanish and English. So like you'll have one, you know, the same poem, you open it and it's like on one side it's in Spanish and one side it's in English.
Oh, that's cool.
And she's been working with this translator for I think like over 20 years. Because if you think about it, it's like it's a crazy art form, you know what I mean? To actually be able to translate a poem.
Right. Yeah.
And have the same meaning and, you know, rhyming and all that kind of stuff.
That would be so hard.
Yeah. So she's like, yeah, she couldn't stop talking about how much she loved this translator.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
I need to go back to that book because I've been wanting to learn Spanish anyway. But I love that she did that. But yeah, so those songs have been around for a while. Mother's Milk has been around actually longer than that. But its form has been taking a while to shape. And that song I wrote for my mom. Yeah. And then the other songs have kind of come this last year or so. And it's also interesting, like, throughout this whole thing, I'm writing a whole nother album. Like, I'm calling it, like, it's a total Americana album. I'm like, is that procrastination? You know, or is that, like, I've been trying to give it a name that would feel good. Productive procrastination.
Right. Yeah.
Wait, I've got a whole nother album here. I've got a whole nother album. And the last song I wrote up for this one, it's called Here Come Johnny, which I love. I love singing that song. It's almost done. And my dad turned me on to Johnny Cash. He loved country music. He loved blues and, you know, Muddy Waters and all those. And he also loved soul music. And he loved country music. He watched Hee Haw, this show. Grand Ole Opry. He loved it. And he loved Johnny Cash. He loved Johnny Cash. So I decided, and I love Johnny Cash. I love Johnny Cash. So it's called Here Come Johnny. Yeah, and it's fun to sing. As the hook goes, like, what's a countryman clad in black know a thing about singing the blues? But here come Johnny, here come Johnny. I love that song. It's just really fun to sing.
That's awesome.
I love Johnny Cash.
That's going to be part of the second album that's happening.
Yeah, I know.
I think it makes sense because it's like giving your creative self a break from the one from the one project, and then, but you still want to create. So you're just creating something. You just need a break for a second.
Totally,
to
completely,
let it do its
different.
thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. You said that's going to be done soon, or you have?
I don't know. I mean, that one I could probably just pop into the studio and do that one quickly, just because it's just the nature of the songs.
Yeah.
This one, ma'am, it's just got a lot of soul to it, and depth of emotion. So it's a different thing.
Needs more time. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it's sitting with it. The other one, it's a deep one for me. So.
Yeah.
It's kind of like fishing. I don't know. I've fished once in my life, but it's like meditating. You're just kind of, which is a form of fishing, I would say. You're just kind of sitting there and you're sitting still and you're allowing. You can't force it. Mm-hmm. So I thought it would be a year. It feels like it's ready, especially after the show, November 2nd. I'm like, oh my God, thank you. You know what I mean? Like, because, so it's like floating around in your heart and your head. And it's like, you get that nod that you're on the right track. And that feels really good. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, but that one, yeah. The songs after, I think the Americana album will be pretty straightforward to record. And I would love to do some disco. I really want to do a disco album, but with a different twist. And then after that, it's going to be like, I want to do like a more like an autobiographical kind of album where like I'm doing genealogy. So I just got my first genealogy results back. And so I have a lot of family or roots, from West Africa.
Okay. Yeah.
So you have Mali, you have Senegal, you have like Congo, Nigeria. So that's going to be really neat. Like the music's taking me back to Africa. Oh, so that one's going to be interesting to do. But I think that's going to be at least a couple of years to do that one. In the meantime, I could be singing country songs and doing disco.
Yeah. There you go.
I'm really excited.
That's awesome.
And I'm learning Barry ukulele, which is fun.
Oh, yeah? Oh, nice.
Yeah.
That is fun. That's different tuning, right?
Yeah, it's like the top 4 strings of standard guitar.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Mm-hmm. Oh, cool.
Yeah, which is interesting. So I think the first time I'll play it is, so this show coming up on the 22nd, the Brad Fest at the Royal Room. Mm-hmm. That was the last gift that Brad gave to me. So the event is in honor of Brad Hauser to raise money for his wife, Kiri, who is looking to move back to Japan to be closer to family. And so a bunch of us are coming together to do a series of fundraisers. I think there have been at least 2 so far. So anyway, that Brad and I are together for like 7 years, and he's best known for like being the bassist for Edie Brickell and New Bohemians. Mm-hmm. Their big hit was What I Am, What I Am? Yeah. What I am is what I am. Are you what you are or what? Mm-hmm. That song. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, we were together for 7 years, and it was a trip. I love that guy. Mm-hmm. My favorite thing about Brad, or one of them, was like he would just walk around the house just with his bass strapped on him. He would just play bass. He would just walk around the house. I'd be like making dinner for us, whatever, in the kitchen. He'd just be walking around, just talking to me and just playing bass. Or sitting and watching TV and he'd just be playing along. He just really loved music. Yeah, so that Barry uke was the last gift he gave me. Like, out of the blue, I just get this Barry uke in the mail. I'm like, what?
Oh, really?
What's this for? He just sent it. He just wanted to send it to me.
Wow.
And the main guitar I play, he gave that to me too.
Oh, really? Oh.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's special.
He's a huge influence for me. Mm-hmm. And a lot of the people that I play with now and that I love, I know through Brad, because I was pretty shy for a long period of my life. I don't consider myself shy anymore. I love people. It's just, I'm an introvert for sure. But when we were together, I was still kind of shy and working through some stuff, working on my confidence. And it's kind of at the beginning stages, I would say, as an adult of healing old wounds from like a background of abuse. I'll just leave it there. And so like even simple things, like I remember like going into music stores was hard for me. Like
because
I just didn't feel like I belonged. Like I remember going to America. It was American music, and it's no fault of theirs. I mean, it's just kind of where people are, you know. But back then, it's just like I've always kind of felt like the only one in the room, you know, the only Black woman, the only soft-spoken Black woman, and walking into American music. I remember that time. It's just like I didn't even want to walk through the door. It's like. Which was ridiculous, you know, if you think about it. But like Brad was going in there, I think he was just picking up strings for his bass or something. And, you know, so I was coming along with him and I didn't even want to walk through the door. I remember that. Cause at the front door, it was just this display and it's like music books. And it was just like a wall of white guys. It was just white guys. And I didn't feel welcome. Do you know what I mean? It's just like, well, you know, where does it say welcome?
Yeah.
There's no Black person behind the desk. There's no pictures of a Black woman anywhere. So that's kind of what I've worked on a bunch in my life, is just deciding that I belong, no matter what the context. But he definitely helped me in that.
Yeah.
You know, he was a really good guy. He was a really good guy.
Yeah. Was about when was this? Like, because you've been in the Seattle area for a long time, right?
Yeah, I came back in the 90s. I moved back from London in, like, I think 92. And then Brad and I, we just kept bumping into each other. I remember the last time he was playing this gig at what's now Nemo's. He was eating at a place across the street. And we bumped into each other again, and we both just raised our hands and shook our heads and laughed. And we're like, okay, well, we need to hang out. You know what I mean? And then we just clicked after that. We just clicked, yeah.
Not so you kept bumping into each other, not even with music related things, or was it because you're both musicians going to music?
I wasn't really playing.
Okay, yeah.
So
it was just
we just kept bumping into each other.
That's
I would
cool.
go see people. The first place we bumped into each other was like the Weathered Wall, and I remember he was kind of smitten with me. Like, to the point he forgot, he had a gig there. I forget why I was there. I think some girlfriends of mine, like, hey, let's go to this gig. And it was like on 5th Avenue, kind of close to Bartellish, kind of 5th and Olive around there.
Oh, yeah.
So, somewhere around there. Anyway, it's kind of close to the monorail. And he was smitten with me, and because he forgot his car. And it's because his car either got towed or he got this crazy ticket because he just didn't go back to his car. And we just started talking, you know, and that was the first time we met. And then after that, we just kept bumping into each other.
Oh, okay.
We didn't exchange information at the first hang for some reason. And then we just kept bumping into each other. And then soon after that, last time, we just, And then we lived together we were together for like 7 years. Lived together for maybe 5 or 6 of the 7.
Is that when you started playing out, when you were together with Brad?
Yeah, he encouraged me to play out, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And we played as a duo. We played in bands he put together a band on my music. We did some shows. We flew up to Alaska. A friend of ours promoted some shows up there, which was really neat. Yeah, so I got to meet a lot of people around Brad. Because I was really shy. I mean, I would have been fine staying home. I would have been fine just going to his gigs. So.
Right, yeah.
I mean, I was always writing. I've always been writing songs. I've been writing songs since middle school. But the getting out amongst people part, he helped me.
Yeah.
He's like, come on, you know. I was like, okay.
Yes, yeah. Sometimes we just need a little nudge.
Yeah, he had plenty of nudges. Yeah.
So then there's the show coming up to honor him and raise some money for his wife at the end of this month or the 22nd.
I was thinking about a lot of self-care. I've been thinking a lot around self-care.
Yeah, we were talking about exercising before we started recording. We're
I know.
Like
I'm getting lots of hints from the powers that be that I'm on the right track. Like I found this exercise bike just sitting on the side of the road the other day, and I was just like, I just laughed out loud. I was like, "Oh, that's a good one." Okay, and then I just brought it home. I was like, "That's hilarious." Yeah. And so far, it hasn't become a coat rack, so that's good.
Yeah, yeah.
So, I was thinking about a lot of self-care. I had an interview with Jim Page recently, and I don't really know how I expressed it, because I really wanted to talk about self-care and depression and suicide because it feels really important to share. And I'm still finding the language of how to share it in a way that could possibly be helpful and hopeful for other people. So like my younger sister took her own life, Susan. She was like my first best friend. And she wanted to be a writer, but she couldn't make sense of the world. Everybody loved Susan. Susan loved everybody. You'd find Susan, she loved to shop, but you'd always find her, like I remember she was shopping with some friends at some mall, and they were trying to find Susan, and Susan was on some bench talking to a homeless person. Not like in a talk down, let me help you kind of way. It was like, she's like, how are you? That was Susan. She's having like a deep conversation with a total stranger. So she just was like full spectrum of emotion. She's a very beautiful soul, but she couldn't make sense of the world. And so, or the rules of the world. And so she took her own life, and it's like, and so I decided that I was going to like really do what I can to help, especially girls of color, to make sense of the world in their own way, because it's weird. It's weird. It's a weird thing to be a Black woman, at least for me. Like, it's done a number on me. Like, you look around, nobody looks like you. It's like I've always gone to quote unquote good schools, which means that a lot of times I was the only one in the room. And that's weird. You just don't see yourself. At least I didn't see myself. And so I know that had a lot to do with why Susan gave up. And I almost gave up. Like last year, November 17th, I was staring at a white plate with 17 blue pills. And I thought it was a great idea to drink vodka and just be done with it. And then, because I was just tired. Just tired of singing about love and just people just doing their deal and just only stopping when their shit falls apart. And it's just, I was just feeling really lonely and just didn't feel like I was doing my work the way it needed to be done, is what was going through my head and my heart that day, that morning. And the night before, I think that kind of helped set it off too. Like, I don't know, I've been hanging out with some school friends, and we had dinner, and they just seemed well-meaning, but they just didn't seem emotionally available to anything other than looking good and sitting pretty in their $1 million houses. And here I am giving my life and my heart to music in the hopes of sharing beauty in the world and love, and just feeling like I wasn't doing my work. And so right when I was about to take the pills, my phone rang and I answered, which is kind of interesting. And it was my friend Jessica, and she's like, what are you doing? And I was just like, I'm done. And she knew exactly what I meant. And she reminded me of all the good that I've created. And she just kept me on the phone until another friend could get me. And I went with that friend, and I voluntarily, I went in voluntarily, and I was involuntarily committed to a space. And it was a trippy 6 days, and I almost didn't get out. It's a strange thing to lose your freedom. You couldn't go anywhere. It's cement walls, a bed that, I might as well have been sleeping on the floor. And every 15 minutes they check on you, day and night. And then there are group therapy sessions, there are art therapy sessions, and you're with people that are literally out of their minds. Like, every one night, this guy was screaming all night long, "Help me, help me." And at the same time, these people are like literally beside themselves, literally outside of their mind, just crazy, and with the biggest hearts. And it's like, we'd get meals and they'd be like, "Do you want my dessert?" They would like, "Do you want me to take your tray for you?" I mean, just like, but then that same person would flip on a switch and just like start screaming. Like their hair was on fire. So, I got out of there. There were a series of events that happened that don't make sense, other than I had a lot of help from beyond this realm. Like the third day I decided I needed to get out of there. It wasn't a healing place for me. I definitely needed to work on healing myself and self-care, but that was not the way for me. So I just started meditating. No shit, I just sat on my bed and I meditated, and everything shifted after that. It was a trip. This woman that I'd met just once before knocked on the door. She's a musician. Her name's Svi. And she just started working there. And on the name outside the door, it said Jennifer Rhodes, but I go by JR, right? And she knew me as JR. And she's looking at the name on the door, and she's looking at me meditating on my bed. And she's like, "JR?" And I open my eyes and I'm like, "Svi." I just remembered her name for some reason. We'd only met once. And I was like, this is not a healing place for me. I need to get out of here. And she looked at me and she goes, "I will talk to the doctor." And from there, everything changed. Like, people started treating me differently. I remember this one woman, she looked like my aunt, my favorite Aunt Versi. She's on the janitorial staff. And she looked at me and she said, "Did the doctor talk to you yet?" I go, "No, I haven't seen him." And she goes, "Well, I talked to him and I told him you need to let that nice lady go home." So things just started shifting for me. And then I did meet with the doctor, and he asked me, he says, like, "Are you feeling suicidal?" It's like, "No, man, for whatever reason, I needed to go through this. I needed to see this through my own eyes for whatever reason." And, but I think I got what I needed to get. And I go, "Look, this is what I do. I'm learning how to talk about it. But basically I make music for the purpose of healing through song, And I go, "Here's my website." And I pulled up my website and I showed it to him, and he looked at it and he looked at me and he goes, "Wow." He goes, "Thanks for answering the questions." And it's like, "Look, we don't sign off on people, but I'm going to sign off on you because I think you'll be fine." He goes, "But do me a favor." He goes, "Look, the health industry is corrupt." And he goes, "Do me a favor. Don't come back here. You take care of yourself, and also don't come back here because this is on my license." Like, he stuck his neck out for me. So it was kind of a trip, and it's like, why am I sharing this story? I'm sharing the stories because it feels like it needs to be shared. For a lot of reasons. It's like, hold on. Do you know what I mean? Just hold on. Just hold on for if it's another minute, another hour, just take a deep breath and hold on, because it will get better. It can get better. And you may not see it, but people love you, but you gotta let love in. And I wasn't letting love in. And so that's been a huge lesson for me. And to really look out for other people. You just don't really know what another person is going through. Know them or not. I do my best to smile at strangers, especially ones I think are having a rough time. Without judgment, and not thinking that I'm like trying to save people, but like to say, I see you and you belong and you deserve to be happy kind of deal.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I don't know what I'm going to do with this story yet. I mean, I just want to learn from it. I'm still learning from it and like how to share it in a way that hopefully helps other people. Because I was watching the Nobel Peace Summit this summer, and it was a trip, like over 3 days. This is a virtual event, and like you get all these panels, and across different panels and different disciplines, people speaking from different disciplinary backgrounds. And it just kept coming up. We're in the middle of a global mental health crisis. And I think part of my sense of wanting to share it is like, so it's spoken. That it's not this thing that's like not to be spoken.
Mm-hmm.
To normalize talking about it, you know, like, I'm not feeling good today. I need to rest. I just need to make time for myself. It's like Mr. Rogers. I love Mr. Rogers. I think he did so much for the mental health of our culture simply by making room and honoring our emotions. Mm-hmm. To say things like feelings are mentionable and manageable. When a lot of people don't even want to acknowledge their feelings, you know, or being soft is a bad thing, feeling loving, you know, for people to think that if you love somebody or you're expressing love, that you're in some way trying to manipulate them. I think that's a very sad way to live your life, that you distrust people that are caring, and for people to not trust the feminine, I think is a shame. And that's a lot of why this album, Ma'am, means so much to me. It's just like, my mom instilled in me that everybody matters, love matters. People love coming over to our house because my mom saw you. She listened to you. And she made really good food for you. Barbara J. Pruitt Rhodes, you know. And so I think that's another reason why this album means a lot to me. And it's dedicated to her. And it's like, because love is beautiful. Love is beautiful. And to be soft, to be caring, to be committed to connection, to be compassionate, to be empathic are beautiful things. And for those to be honored, you know, that's what I'm honoring in this album, this set of songs. And it starts with me honoring myself because I've always been this way, you know, and to have let myself be talked out of who I am, it feels like a homecoming and a thank you and a loving thank you to my mother and to women of color for sharing their wisdoms, their lives, and their works, and just women in general. And the feminine principle is like, because I've met men who are just so loving, you know, and I've met women who are trying so hard to fit in and to be hard and to be masculine, to be macho, to climb the ladder and all that stuff, and have, from my estimations, left their hearts behind. And, you know, so it's really the feminine principle. It's not just, it's not necessarily gender specific. Wow, I had a lot to say there, didn't I? Yeah.
I appreciate that. I appreciate you sharing it. I think that it takes a lot of courage to be able to be so open about these things. And I agree, it's important to speak on it when you can and if you can, because it normalizes it, like you're saying, it does normalize it. And I think that that's part of why, like, it seems to me that there's always been mental health issues for as long as people have been on the planet. But the difference now, I think, is that people are talking about it and people aren't stigmatizing it as much, and people are accepting and asking for help when they can and if they can, and how they can. So yeah, I appreciate you sharing that and sharing your thoughts on that, because I mean, and that's part of the reason why I think that this podcast or other mediums or ways of sharing your story, as many as possible, because everybody's individual experience is important in so many ways. It reaches people in ways that you can't even imagine or think up, it's just, you just have to allow it, like we were talking about, I think, before. But yeah, I appreciate it is what I'm saying.
Yeah. I mean, I appreciate you, and I appreciate your podcast. I think it's important work that you're doing.
Yeah,
because our stories, you're welcome. Our stories, if you think about it, right? It's like history. What is it? Who's writing it? And through what lens, and what is the purpose of the sharing of that version of history or stories? So your work and similar works help in that respect. That people feel like, oh yeah, my patch in the quilt of humanity matters. So I need to tell my story. First, I need to know myself. I need to sit down and be okay with myself, and honor myself and those who came before me. Who were they? It's nice. It's a nice, you have that foundation to stand on.
Yeah.
It's really simple, and it's like, wow, it's important work, I think. Yibba-dabba-doo.
Yeah.
It's still rainy.
It is. It's a little stormy out there, but it's okay. It's December. It's supposed to be, right?
Yeah. I know.
So for self-care personally for you, you're talking about, or at least we were talking about a little bit of like doing some exercise, things like that. But what other things have you come up with that you feel like help you?
Oh yeah, meditation for sure.
Yeah,
meditation, even if it's like 5 minutes a day, just stop the train. Stop the train, especially if I'm worried about something, and I've definitely at a point in my life where I see that worry is negative prayer. So just stop the train. Like when somebody says, oh God, I've been thinking about you, I've been worried about you. It's like, I just tell them, it's like, please don't worry about me. Just send me love. Don't worry about me. It's just negative prayer. And I spend a lot of time meditating. Like even if it's 5 minutes a day, there have a couple groups that I meditate with, women's groups. And, but I definitely make a point to meditate daily. It just gets me in a really cool, quiet space where I can think clearly for myself.
Yeah.
And drinking water, simple things like that. The exercise thing, I'm still working on that. So it's really hilarious that exercise bike just kind of was at the side of the road. Right?
Yeah.
And I eat well. I eat my vegetables. I've always loved vegetables. So
better than me.
Greens.
That's good.
Better than you. You don't do.
I'm more recently like, I guess probably because that's what my body needs or something. But before I was like, I can do without vegetables. But recently I've been good. So that's good.
Like what kind of vegetables do you eat?
Now, more spinach than I ever have. Kale, more kale than I ever have. Carrots. I share carrots with my dog. So the little baby carrots,
Those are cute, yeah.
He loves them. He takes them so carefully. So cute.
It trips me out that dogs eat carrots.
I know. It's so cute. It's wild.
Good. And it's funny to me that they call them baby carrots when really they're just like, they're cut and they're peeled and they're shaped.
Right. I know.
And they call them baby carrots. I'm like, these aren't baby carrots.
I know. They're just carrots. That's
carrots.
So funny. I think I had the same conversation with my mom. She's like, I think that's who I was talking to about it. That's so funny.
It's the funniest thing. It's just like, who came up with that?
Yeah.
I'd like to meet that person.
Right? Yeah. Some marketer.
Brilliant. Yeah. Brilliant. But I've always loved vegetables. I love arugula. Arugula is kind of like my jam. I actually, to the point where I want a t-shirt that says arugula on it.
Oh.
I just love arugula. But I could eat vegetables all day. Like with my sisters, they didn't do the vegetable thing. They were really into fruits, and they really liked desserts and candies. They had sweet So the vegetable oil is my jam.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's good. At least you don't have to work very hard on that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's funny. I think that's kind of why I've never really had any weight stuff. Any weight problems, maybe not problems, but challenges with weight.
Sure.
I'm just like arugula, sign me up. Greens, I'm there. I'm first in line.
There you go.
It's like, yeah. It's funny. What else? Self-care. I'm focusing on routines right now. That's in the forefront of my mind. Mm-hmm. Routines and rituals. You know, because it's like being the last one standing in my core family. It's just like rituals have kind of like fallen by the wayside. Like my mom was the one. She would keep everybody together. She knew what was going on with the family, distant family, you know. She just was the glue of the family. And she liked to cook. And, you know, she was really about, you know, holidays and birthdays and stuff like that. So rituals just seem, I'm seeing the importance of them. You know, you mark special occasions. It's a way of like, it's a memory thing. Yeah. I think it could be it's also a way of honoring yourself and your story too. It's like ritual, you know, so I've been thinking about ritual a lot. Like how can I ritualize things and bring that into practice in my life and routines? Cause it's like, I think we talked about this for like twilight. Like my key time of creating is twilight, like 3 to 7 in the morning or 2, something like that. It's just like you can hear your heartbeat. It's really cool creative time. So it's like figuring out like how to do that. Do you know what I mean? Because it's like, okay, well, I'm in creative mode, so I'm in twilight schedule. It's taken my friend, you know, taken friends and even people I don't know a while to get what that is. It's like, cause you know, they come over and it's just like, you're tired. It's just like, I've been up all night. And they're like, oh, you've been partying. It's just like, no, I've been up all night. I've been working while you were sleeping. I was working, you know, and to get that, I need that time window for some reason creatively. So that's interesting. It's to like navigate the twilight creative time. And then when, you know, it's time to like, go to the office or talk to people, you know, talk about partnerships or like the business plan. How's, you know, work on my financials, you know, well, that's daytime work, you know, and so flipping this schedule is kind of wackadoodles, you know, it's kind of like, especially when I'm transitioning from one to another, flipping it back. So I'm figuring out how to do that. Maybe I never will. I love the idea I love creating during twilight, and I also love letting my work be done in my sleep. So like I love working on a song before I go to sleep. Because then I take it into dream time. And then a lot of times I'll wake up and the song's well on its way. Yeah. Which is awesome.
Yeah. It's so interesting how that works. Yeah.
It's really cool.
Just allow it to happen. Yeah.
And I've had songs where I wake up and it's just like a song is there. That's a real trip. Mr. Placebo was that way. I wrote that years ago.
Oh, okay.
I wrote that song in that song happened in like maybe an hour. That was a trip.
Wow.
I think that's when I started noticing it. The let your dream time help you. I was like, wow, this is pretty cool. You know, it's like kind of having like a staff.
Yeah.
Your subconscious staff is
there you
working
go.
with you. It's like, okay, people,
you're on.
You're on.
That's funny. Yeah, that's a good way to think about it. I like that.
Well, I like that you were talking about that guy, Jeff Tweedy.
Yeah.
Bringing that up. It's nice to hear that other people do it too.
Yeah. I think that's part of why I like that book that I was telling you about before we started recording.
How to write one song.
Yeah, how to write one song. It's just, I'm only midway through it, but some of the stuff he's talking about is like, I can just relate to it. And so, and he's, you know, doing his thing. He's successful. He gets to do music all day, every day kind of thing. And so to hear that somebody in that realm is thinking similarly or doing the process similarly, not exact, but it's nice it's like, oh, okay, I'm not weird. Okay.
I know. There is that.
I mean, maybe I'm weird, but maybe also there's other weird with me.
in this weird works. Thank you very much.
Yes. I have a community of weird that I can connect with.
You're welcome.
Yes. Exactly.
Right? Because if we were all the same, what fun would that be?
I know.
And if we're all like,
that would get kind of tiring and old. Yeah.
It's like, go weird and go forth and be weird and prosper.
Exactly. Yes. Why not? I have one more question for you, but before I ask that, is there anything else that you would like to cover that we missed or that I haven't asked you?
Oh, yeah. People can just please stay tuned and follow me on my website, jrrhodesco.com. And I'm definitely welcoming people for support of the music. I have a Patreon page, and I also, on my website, I have a contribute page. So if you're drawn to my music and feel moved to support it, I welcome that. Yeah, it's total, well, you know, as a musician, it's like, as an entrepreneur, it's like, you know, kind of making this up as you go along. And also it's kind of cool. Everybody's got their days where it's just like, what am I doing? You know, and then these days, though, it seems really cool. Like, I know that there are musicians who have actually taken their own lives after the pandemic because a lot of their work went away temporarily and some of it went away permanently, and they didn't know how to navigate the creative field financially. And it's like, I've definitely felt heavy-hearted around finances over the years, and I just decided that the music needs to get out into the world. And so I'm exploring different avenues. And over COVID, I started writing grants and I started getting grants. And so that's been really wonderful. And so now I'm focusing on partnerships and sponsorships. And that's a whole new world too. But it feels good. I mean, I think that we can all do it. We just need to like take a deep breath and create the time and space for ourselves to imagine. You know what I mean? I mean, if you think about it, like a lot of the blues greats, jazz greats, like Billie Holiday, they had sponsors. They had really wealthy patrons. And so I'm exploring that for sure. It's been around, you know, it's so... There are different ways that we can all do this. So I really encourage, you know, people to make their own way. And it is possible. You just need to like stick with it. So yeah, I encourage people to partner with me and to partner with other creatives, you know, and art is essential work.
Yeah, definitely.
So yeah, thanks for asking.
Yeah. Is there something in the new year that you are looking forward to most? Either it could be anything.
I am excited to hear Ma'am. I'm excited to hear that. And so, and that will be, it already feels like a homecoming. I think it'll be really profound to hear the recording on a personal level. And after that, I'm looking forward to taking a vacation. This has been really challenging work to carry this around. If you think about it, you can't get away from it. It's not like a 9-to-5 office. It's like, you know, at 5 o'clock, you clock out. It's just like all the time. And so I'm excited to go somewhere. Maybe Hawaii. I love turtles. So I want to swim with the turtles, maybe hang out with the whales. Hear the whale songs. I would like to do that, go on vacation with myself.
Yeah. That sounds great.
That's what I'm
great
looking
plan.
for. Yeah. Hang out with turtles.
Yeah. That would be awesome. I love turtles also.
They're cool.
Well, JR, thank you again for allowing me to listen and being a part of Take Notice again. And for inviting me over to do this interview in person, which is always great. And thanks for sharing your story and being open and generous with your time and your story.
You're welcome. It's a total honor and a pleasure to be with you, Allison.
Thank you for joining us for Take Notice, Amplifying Black Stories. If you enjoyed this episode, please be sure to share it with someone you know. Connect with us on social media. We would love to hear from you. We are at Take Notice Podcast. You can also find us at takenoticepodcast.org. Reviews help us reach more listeners, so please rate and review on your favorite podcast app. Take Notice, Amplifying Black Stories is produced, hosted, and edited by Allison Preisinger Higgins. Music by Version Big 5 featuring Darius Higgins. Thank you for being with us, and thank you for taking notice.
Saying that they're doing right, why they take away our human rights. They want to say they're on our side, with all of their smiles and their alibis. Now is the time for us to organize and realize that together as one is how we can make a change. Get right, say now. Organize, to centralize.